Well, hopefully you're seeing this upright, and already I owe you a bit of an apology. Uh, I had intended to actually hold this in the horizontal orientation as opposed to the vertical one, so that you could have a broader view of the sunset. And unfortunately, I must have messed up. And Sam has joined us once again. Hi, Sam. How are you doing this evening? It's so good to see you again. Yes, it is. Sam says the view is so pretty. Yes, it is. The sun is so bright, I can't look directly into it. There are just very few clouds in the sky this evening. I don't know if you can even see them in the image. But yes, it is beautiful. And if I remain quiet for a moment, you can hear the birds. There are a lot of birds this evening. But I gotta tell you something, Sam. And this is the truth. I don't know how many more of these we're going to be able to share yet. We're approaching right now the longest day of the year. And here in southern Illinois, or southeast Illinois, as it is across most of our southern 2/3 of the state, the weather and our environment actually goes through a change, beginning with the longest day of summer, which will be on the 20th, I believe. When the days start getting shorter, the some interesting things start to happen. The first of which that would actually interfere with me having these live sessions continue is the emergence of the annual cicada. The annual cicada usually is, how can I put it? The way they work and the way they grow and work in their cycles is that when the ground gets to be hot enough, as it does usually just after the first day of summer, which is the longest day of year, then they begin to emerge from the ground. When that happens, they only live for a few days, but there's so many of them, and they come out for, I don't know, months. That's how many of them there are. So they erupt from the ground, and then they climb up the trees or any vertical surface they can latch onto. They dry their wings and molt from their larval bodies. And then, like I said, they molt from their, I'm sorry, I got that backwards. They molt from their larval bodies and then dry their wings. And then they begin to mate, and they make a tremendous noise. And sometimes it can get to be so loud that you literally can't hear my voice over the microphone for the sound of the cicadas. And it is a rhythmic thing. Some people find it very, very soothing to hear, but after a while it can be distracting. Now I'm going to go ahead and come back here and look at your chat so I can digress from that a little bit. Okay, and GTX Jules says straight beauty. Yes, it is, Jules. Thank you for joining with us. And Shiggle Getter says hi. Hi, Shiggle. Sam says, sorry I'm back. My internet is being dumb. Yes, we all have those moments. I know I do too. And Shiggle says, cell tower. Yes, it is. That's what that is a cellular and other communications tower. That you can see that there's several different devices mounted on that thing. So let me go back to the cicada thing. Along with the cicadas erupts a very curious insect, and that is a wasp that preys almost specifically on cicadas as they erupt from the ground in the larval stage. The male wasp has wings and looks pretty much like a large wasp. The female does not, and is red and black and has, how can I put it, has a very, very striking appearance. These are known as the red velvet ant. They are quite large. They can be well over 1.5 inches long. They are known as the cow killer ant because their sting, these female wasps have a sting that it is so powerful that if a cow steps on one by accident and they are stung above their hooves, that it can literally cause a cow to die from the shock of the sting. They are indigenous to this area. If you have children and you live in this region, you should be aware of the existence of the cow killer ant, not just on my property, but throughout this region. They're not a rare creature, although sightings of them are kind of rare. They are by no means rare in themselves. So this is a hazard that has to be watched out for. And about the only time you see a cow killer ant or a red velvet ant, which is, like I said, actually a wasp, a female wasp, is when they may crawl across a sidewalk or something like that, because they typically live underground in a burrow, but will come out from time to time. Now, they're fascinating to watch. The males hover like helicopters and spy the ground, looking for the signs of an emerging cicada. They actually use surveillance. They're actually using a kind of surveillance, like a reconnaissance. And when they spot a cicada beginning to emerge from the ground, they will drop down and themselves sting the cicada, which causes the cicada to go into a state of shock and suspended animation. They then lift the cicada, and my gosh, it looks like a Sikorsky sky crane in miniature when they do this. They will then lift the cicada and then fly with this heavy burden under them over to where the opening to the nest of this wasp is built underground in a hollow area. and then they will hover over it, and the sound of their wings produces a sound that the female can hear underground, and she will come up towards the surface. And once the male wasp sees the flash of red on the female's body, then he will drop down in altitude and then drop the cicada in. And Sam says, my phone is about to die. It's at 2%, and I'm not home, but much love. Much love back to you, Sam. Thanks for joining. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. Okay, so until next time, of course, to you as well, good luck and Godspeed, and we'll see you. For the rest of us, we're going to go ahead and keep going. Sam's a great person to join us. I really appreciate them. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the ant. So, like I said, the male will come along, and the sound of its wings, the female can hear. She will come to the surface, and with that flash of bright red, the male will see that, and then drop in altitude and drop his cargo of this now doomed cicada into the opening of the nest, which the female retrieves and then stores underground so that their young, can feed upon it, and the wasps' lives can continue. So it's getting to be that season, and I've never been stung by a red velvet ant, but I have seen them. If you do an internet search on Bruno Biava, you can actually see an article that was written about me and the dog I had at the time when we discovered what a red velvet ant was. It's kind of comical. Mind you, yes, I did not kill the ant or the wasp when I brought it back from our state extension office here in Olney. Simply put, I don't like killing things. I just don't like killing things. And as dangerous as they are still a beautiful, beautiful creature. And all things in the world have purpose. I mean, like I say in my series about mindfulness and the care of footwear, all right, all things have a purpose unto heaven. I don't like taking a life. I don't like the idea of it. I'm quite sensitive about that. I'd like to think of it as more a part of a character strength and not a weakness. But I realize that sometimes in the animal world it is necessary. But in the human world, it shouldn't be at all. God gave us the capacity to reason. And in our reasoning should first and foremost be love. And we should extend kindness to one another and seek a greater understanding of each other. We shouldn't just simply dismiss each other as expendable. in this moment where we are right now, we are as we were 45 years ago, in a state of preparedness for possible confrontation with the nation of Iran and its government. "45 years ago, I was soon, within just a few days of today, to depart for training at the Marine Corps the Marine Corps Recruit Depot at San Diego, California. I was aware of the situation in Iran, as we all were at that time, because each and every night there was a special report on the ongoing negotiations to secure the release of the hostages who were being held by the Iranian students at first, and then later by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard at the United States Embassy in Tehran. Each of us recruits knew that as Marines, we may have been amongst the first to engage in combat. It's a sobering thought, and it should be. Because in combat, you're expected to take human life. I do not take that lightly. I still don't. I am a very peaceful man at heart. The last thing I have ever wanted to do is to take another life. Simply because God did not instill in me the desire to. Personally, and I really don't mean to make this discussion about me, but I have to tell you. Personally, I found out that during recruit training that the idea of degradation of an adversary to in order to justify or further quote unquote inspire our forces to attack and willfully kill other humans, I found abhorrent. I found this out during our initial physical test or physical training when we engaged in a 3-mile run. And I lagged behind the rest of the platoon. Our senior drill instructor, who really wasn't a bad guy, dropped back, and I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, "I don't get it, Biava. What's wrong with you? Aren't you motivated? You can't keep up with the rest of the platoon. Don't you want to go over and kill a bunch of camel jockeys?" I stopped in my tracks. The drill instructor stopped. He turned. I was already at attention, and then I said to him, "Sir, I do not approve of your attitude towards our adversary in Iran. Yes, indeed, they are holding hostages, our citizens as hostage in our own embassy. Yes, we have not only a right but a duty to rescue those hostages and return them to our country. But we have no right to reduce these misguided individuals to a subhuman form or to dismiss them, such as you have suggested. I would much rather approach them unarmed and attempt to negotiate with them first than to simply shoot them and kill them and dismiss them as expendable, because they are not. Now, I didn't use precisely those words. The words I used were a little bit sharper and more concise. But simply put, we must respect our enemies. We must listen to their concerns. We must begin to understand their needs. We must pray for them, that God, too, will help them to a greater understanding, that we all eventually lay down our arms and our aggressive attitudes, our avarice, and work towards something greater and something more pleasing to God. Now, as it turned out, other things happened in that recruit training that eventually led me to refuse the continuance of it. And I was separated. And I continued through my life in more peaceful pursuits. I'm much blessed, not only for the decision I made, but also the decisions of other recruits who did continue in their pursuit of becoming a United States Marine. God made them different than I. God made them with a greater capacity for something that I simply don't have. In that, and in the heart of every United States Marine, every true United States Marine is a desire for peace and tranquility, but a willingness to fight, if necessary, to protect not only themselves and their own families, but people like me. It's a very humbling thing, and in itself is a paradox. This is one of the reasons why I pray for Marines and for everyone who, either by virtue of being in the United States military or as a first responder and is entrusted with a weapon, it is an awesome, awesome responsibility. And I give thanks for and pray for these men and women every day of my life. I know that some, or I should say, I assume that some of the other individuals in my platoon, or some of the other individuals who were charged, or tasked, I should say, with training us, may have died in the 45 years since the summer of 1980. And quite likely, they died in service to our country. We've had several conflicts since then. And my most sincerest prayer is that they should not be called to take lives of their fellow citizens. Within the confines of the country they're expected to defend. We're in a precarious moment. God is watching each and every one of us very closely. To see how we meet what has literally become the crisis of our lives and of our nation. We already have one king that we should be serving. One monarch, more correctly, in our God. One Lord under that monarch. One admiralty in those who've gone before us that brought us to awareness of the love of the kingdom that is promised us in heaven, that we should try to bring awareness of here on earth. We have much work to do, especially us in the United States. We have to humble ourselves. We have to learn to be kind again. We have to learn to be respectful and understanding. And that in this moment, at approximately 01:30 Universal Time Coordinated on the 20th of June, 2025. Is a very heavy lift for a United States citizen such as myself. May God help us all. Well, there's been no further chat since Sam said so long and thank you. And that's all right. I know that people joined this for a moment or two and then moved on to other things. And that's all right too. I didn't mean to make this live session about me. But at least we got to share a sunset for a brief time. And I was able to remember a little bit more about what God instilled in me and to give thanks to Him for not only that, but also an awareness of others who've devoted their lives in the service of our monarch in heaven. So, the time has arrived. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And until the next time we are able to share this moment, or these moments, I wish you and all around you good luck, Godspeed, and we'll see you around town.